We downsized to about 4 because the profitability disappeared. Where I used to pay for insurance, liability insurance, about $800 a year. Now it's about 22 to 24,000 a year. That's just the one location.
Probably, even though I still think it's bad legislation, would have probably made us small business owners go away. But they didn't do that. And what they have done, and what David Cortese has done, is flat out lied to the general public by going on record to saying that small businesses of 10 or fewer people have been exempted from this law. And that's not what the language of the law says. The language says places of business with 10 or fewer employees that are not open to the public are exempt. So if you have some internal office where you don't have the public generally come, a software engineering firm, I don't know, whatever it may be, but something that doesn't involve a retail establishment or a restaurant or a gas station or a truck stop, that business is still included.
Gentlemen, I am your host, Gary Singh Gurewal from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to all our NRA Press Club team and our guests who like to talk on very hot topic, SB553. Let me introduce our NRA Press Club team. Those people are participate all the time with the NRA Press Club under the umbrella of NRA Press Corporation. Harinder Chimaji, the lawyer from Windsor, Canada, from Toronto area. He is a lawyer and he also PhD in psychology. So he understands that everything what's happening here. And then I will come to know Pashara Singh Tilanji, architect, educationist, poet, a community activist from California. And then we have a Professor Vinod Gupta ji, physics professor or very highly educated in China or India. Sorry, all the time it is happening there. And then we can say Harpreet, he's a lawyer from Amritsar. Now he's settled in Riverside, California. Myself is Gary Singh Garewal. I'm an automotive engineer. Now I'm settled in California. Jessica ji, let me confirm everything of our host from the top there. Harminder ji, can you tell yourself there? Harminder Singh ji, Dr. Saab.
Yeah, so this is Harminder. I have a PhD in biochemistry. So I have worked almost 25 years in USA, North America as a scientist in research and development of biopharmaceuticals. But I invested all my savings into a small business like gas station and retail business.
Thank you very much, Baljinder Singh ji.
Hello, everybody. This is Barjinder Singh. I'm a small business owner too. My background is I worked in medical device industry as a R&D engineer. Research and development is my passion. I still do some projects on that.
Thank you very much, ji. Kurosh ji. Kurosh.
Good afternoon. My name is Kurosh Sharak. I'm an attorney, practicing attorney in California. I'm also a small business owner. I'm owner of 3 small retail establishments. And what I'm seeing happen to these stores that were a great source of profit and joy for me to run, as opposed to the law firm where I deal with clients who are unfortunately in unhappy situations and need help. Instead, when I go to these stores, I see happy customers, people who enjoy shopping, who I can have conversations with, where it's now turned into a bit of a war zone in at least a couple of my stores, due to, I don't want to say police inaction, but due to the fact that I think the police feel like the moment they arrest someone, that person the same day is out on the street. My staff are constantly threatened. It is a horrible environment, not to mention the fact that we're now losing money and have been for the last year and a half.
Okay, thank you, Ji. Jaskaran Ji, Sota Saab. Jaskaran, Sota.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jaskaran Singh Sahota. Originally born and brought up in Punjab, India. I just came to pursue my American dream here. My background is I was a professional field hockey player back in India and then played in Europe too for a while, in Germany actually. Then after coming to United States, I got my degree in software. I was a software consultant for almost 15, 16 years, SAP security specialist, working with Fortune 500 companies. Then, as Harminder Singh Paji said, I put all my savings into business and just tried to be my own boss, which was pretty much wrong. You cannot be your own boss in this business. So, but again, I was so happy, like business is running for, I have multiple locations, married with like 2 kids, and wife is happy, kids were happy, everything was going smooth until we see all this thing. We are all in the same boat now. I'm here. Thank you so much for your time, NRA Press, and thank you, Mr. Garewal.
Thank you. Lake Thara Ji.
Thank you for having me in there. I'm 7-Eleven Franchise Owner Association president, but that's just a little thing. I've been a franchisee for about 39 years. And during that time, we were able to grow into multiple businesses. Family grew into Subways and gas stations and truck stop and all that. The effect of these legislations lately is showing in the field. I'm firsthand in the field seeing that, in past 2 or 3 years, where we had 11 or 12 units, of just the convenience stores, we downsized to about 4 because the profitability disappeared. Where I used to pay for insurance, liability insurance, about $800 a year. Now it's about $22,000 to $24,000 a year. That's just the one location. And I see the SB553 is going to ruin the model much more deeper. I can see the workman's comp cases coming up, and when I read the definition of workplace violence, it defines so many different things, and that we're liable for. And so I'm that's where I am today, and we'll discuss further later on. But that's my background.
Okay, thank you, Ji. Tushar Singh Ji. Dylan.
I think before I ask question, I have a little statement to make. That any law is not judged by its intent, but by the perception, by what the people feel about it. And as Harminder Ji said in the beginning, that the people who do not own stores probably think that there is nothing wrong with this bill. I don't own a store, but as I hear you and as I read the language, I think there is the intent may be good, but the feeling it leaves is as Korosh explained, that it is no more a fun to open his store, which he opened the store. He's a professional, and he was earning his livelihood, I think, very comfortably what he was doing and he was trained for. But he opened the store just for fun, and he said that that made him happy, that he will be meeting with people, making them happy and chatting with them. But it sounds like that now, that just to put it a little bit more dramatically, that for the person who wants to steal, he would say, oh, good, oh, let us go and steal today. And the guy who owns the store or works in the store feels as if he is going to a war zone, to a war front. So that is not really a very good a result for the good intent, however it may be. So the question is what to do from here. Did they ask you to give some detailed suggestions? Did you give them a list of how to practically amend it? It seems to me that we have a problem with our own group. There seems to be as someone said first in the initial, that there is one group who is celebrating it, who's saying that it's a good bill. And now as we hear from you, and I also understand as much as I could understand the law, it is not a very good bill. It has created that, it may be a good intent, it's a good intent, no doubt, but the perception is not going down well. So my question, I guess, is how to regroup, how to make one group of all these people. It is like, the farmers fight against the farm laws, and there were two unions, as you know that. There were some who were saying that it's a good law, and then the farmers actually had to pitch in for a year, and they had to made a lot of sacrifice to prove that it is not. So is that going to happen here also? And what you going to do?
I will answer the first half of the question, and I will let anybody else answer the second half of the questions. So Sardar Peshawar Singh ji, you are able to understand the intent of the bill now because you have been keenly listening to the concerns of the business owners. So because you are in a listening mode, you can understand the pain and the potential problems we will be suffering, and also see that the intended results of the bill, which is the prevention of or protection of the employees from violence, will not be achieved by this bill, because we are the one who are burdened or will be responsible to put those controls in place and plans in place. And we are telling you why we will not be able to do that. So I wish the lawmakers were as competent as you are, and they would have listened to us. We have been knocking at the doors of the lawmakers for the last 15 days, begging, pleading, asking them to please talk to us. No, nobody came forward to speak to us. They just, I don't know, they just turn their ears off. Their listening mode stops as soon as they are elected. However, this time, I think we are waking up. A lot of small business owners, they have their awareness and knowledge how this bill will impact them negatively. So they are paying very close attention to how the lawmakers would be voting on this bill, irrespective of the party lines. So I urge the lawmakers to please listen to the end users of this bill and stand beside us to save our businesses, to save our livelihoods, and allow us to continue providing employment to thousands and thousands of employees and tax monies to the state and federal government. And I will let somebody else speak on the second half.
Who will? Okay, Barjinder.
We all know what Proposition 47 did, but we probably forgot what they called it at the time. If you remember, I have it in front of me. They called it Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. How does that sound now? That's what this. Did you get my point? I didn't see any reaction. The Prop 47, it was called Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act.
So what they mean, Barjinder, they want to make money and spend it on schools and neighborhoods.
Okay, so that's what they're saying. That's what this bill is. Workplace violence prevention. It sounds very good. We started our campaign, or if you want to call it a campaign against this bill, we started with one statement. If there's a violence in your house, do you call it, if somebody comes out of a intruder in your house and does some criminal things in your house, do you call it a domestic violence? In my opinion, you don't. It's a criminal act. And if somebody comes to my business and does something stupid, how's that a workplace violence? That's a criminal act.
Yeah.
So that was the very first statement we started with. And again, their names are very deceptive. And I want to add one more thing. We're looking at just the business owner side of it. No, I think nobody, even the employees, if you really think about it, who would want to work if criminals are free to walk into the store? Would you be safe in that environment?
Okay.
So let's not even, I mean,
Thank you.
that's not it's very deceptive. It's not about employees or employers or small business. No. It's going to cause a lot of chaos.
Okay, unbelievable. Okay, Harpreet, do you have any short question? For the 10
Yes,
minutes.
yes, sir. I have only a short question. So my question is that so after the SB553, so any amendment was sought or any changes in the amendment? What kind of the amendment you want in the SB553?
Very good.
So
Can we
let
have-
me correct the language. So basically, the bill goes back and forth between different committees. So they change the wording here and there. So I don't think that technically it's amendments. They just go through the different drafts. But Mr. Krush and Paul can correct me.
Cruz.
But we have studied the bill as of September 7, 2023, which has passed Senate, which has passed Assembly Appropriation Committee, and this still is a non-business friendly, and it would not achieve its desired consequences.
Okay, Cruz, give an answer.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Grewal. And I will defer to Paul as well for anything that I may miss, because I know how actively he's been involved with this process. I would say the first amendment that we saw was to eliminate the language about confronting shoplifters, which appears to have, at least for the purpose of this bill, been dealt with by being amended out. But we can easily see Cal OSHA coming back later on and reintroducing similar language. But again, that's not the main gist. What we as a group of small business owners considered was, well, you know, if this is law that's introduced with unions in mind and larger establishments where they do have internal workplace violence, why not simply eliminate or exempt small businesses from this bill? And we had some numbers in mind: 10 people, 20 people, 25 people. Some restaurants suggested that it would be a slightly larger number than that. But the idea was that for businesses with X number of employees or less, they would not be subject to this legislation. And that one line, if it were to have been introduced, probably, even though I still think it's bad legislation, would have probably made us small business owners go away. But they didn't do that. And what they have done, and what David Cortese has done, is flat out lied to the general public by going on record to saying that small businesses of 10 or fewer people have been exempted from this law. And that's not what the language of the law says. The language says places of business with 10 or fewer employees that are not open to the public are exempt. So if you have some internal office where you don't have the public generally come, a software engineering firm, I don't know, whatever it may be, but something that doesn't involve a retail establishment or a restaurant or a gas station or a truck stop, that business is still included. And so Mr. Cortese is still trying to fool the public into thinking that this exemption exists. But in fact, the exemption is as clear as it was in its original draft. only businesses with 10 or fewer employees that are not open to the public are exempt from this
Karosh,
legislation.
I would also add that this exemption he's talking about refers to injury and an illness prevention program. That is under the law under 6401.7.
Right.
Now, that injury plan is something that most people are familiar with. Maybe their insurance company sends them something. They have post up that says OSHA on it once a year. However, this new law is under a brand new section, 6104.9. And that is section 4 of the actual SB553. And in that, it does not exempt anybody from the actual workplace violence plan. So he's using the fact that you are exempt from the program that we already are exempt from and know we're exempt from, and is now somehow applying it to the plan, which it is not. All of us are still going to be required to do this plan, and it's not the illness injury program, prevention program, IIPP, that's been in existence for quite some time.
Okay, thank you.
And Gary,
go
Mr.
ahead,
Garibal, I
ahead.
will add one more thing to Mr. Shahrukh Kharosh, his statement. Yeah, this bill was brought by Mr. Cortese based on, you guys all know or might have heard about, like there was a shooting at VTA yard in San Jose in 2021. And he is keep on saying that's the main incident that made him and co-author of Bill Ash Kalra to draft this bill. You guys all know that, right? And that VTA yard, I lived in San Jose for almost 25 years. It's not accessible to public at all. How did this incident happen there? If he's going to draft this bill based on one incident where there was shooting happened, and he knows that yard has more than 10 employees. They played a game. It was very clever of him, as Mr. Cruz said, like he's been lying for so long, that 10 employment place of 10 employees or less is exempted where there are no public access to that place. And that place is VTA, but it has more than 10 employees, and that's not exempted at all. That incident happened in that yard by an ex-employee or employee who was still there against his own employees, and that base is not correct. And it's not going to help that at all.
Thank you. Chima Saab, Harinder, or Chima lawyer from Canada. Toronto.
Yes, sir, good evening. Thanks for giving me time. And I believe that most of the guests, they have explained their concerns, and they may not like my views as well, because being a lawyer, might have different views. And I was hearing that Mr. Kharosh, he's an attorney as well as a business owner. And I firmly believe that if he was not business owner, his view would have been different. First, I agree with Mr. Harminder. He recognized that safety of employee is the concern. I agree with that. And then Mr. Burjinder, I think I agree with him also. He says there is only change of wording. Initial wording which was taken off, and now a new wording has been added. But the main concern or fact or meaning purpose of the same, that change wording is the same. Means pressure on employer, he cannot mandate the employee to that. And I don't disagree with that too, because even in Canada, mostly the system is the same, whatever is US and Canada, all store, gas station, whatever it is, there are instructions to the employees from the employer. If somebody comes, try to even steal your locker or whatever, just give the keys. Your safety is concerned. Don't go about the money or other thing. Just report thereafter. So I think that's the same thing being asked here. So there is nothing wrong in it that, yes, Mr. Harnaik, I think he said the main gist, whatever the main concern is, the economic impact of this act. Yes, I agree. Only that is why all business owners, they are concerned about that. That's about the economic impact. Yes, they will have to suffer, but yes, for something you have to pay something as well, because even Harminder and Barjinder said about then we have to make a differentiate between employer and employee. Being an employer, you can stop anybody, you can take any action, no law stops you. I think Bajinder also gave an example of home breaking. Same is here. If your store, somebody comes and break, you can take any action. Even in the if the shooter or the criminal has any weapon, you can go to the extent of shooting them as well. You have the right to do that, but you cannot ask the employee to do that. That is the concern. For that, I will just share one example. In factories here, all factories, warehouses, everywhere, there are safety hazard manuals. Everything is there. Those are employees have access to that. And if some employee doesn't follow those manuals and get injured or something, employer will not be responsible because it is the duty of employee also to follow. That is why they want to make such a report or plan, safety plan you have to make. It is the duty, it's the responsibility of employer. For employer, he is free, but for employee, it has to be seen by the employer, whatever kind of work they are carrying, what kind of dangers there are. So they have to maintain if there's danger come, if that person is with weapon and how the employee should react, how they should rule. So that we have to do. Yes, I know if to reporting, logging, everything is extra burden. When we have to start anything extra, that creates problem for us. But once you get into the system, you get used to that. And I think other than economic impact, everything is not wrong. We have to follow it is as per procedure. So we should go with
Can I
that.
just
But
say one
yes,
thing?
economic impact is there.
I want to go
Yes,
first.
one question I have with Harminder and both,
I think we
because
need the
Harminder was
whole,
saying
the
they
whole
didn't
program
listen to
about
us.
this.
So one question is, what suggestion you have to prevent the crime? What you would have suggested to them?
Over. Harminder.
So, Mr. Harendra Paul Chima, you have your perspective, and basically you fired us up by sharing your perspective.
Yes.
In my opinion, economic impact is the last impact which I care about. My biggest concern is this bill will not achieve the employee safety. Why do I say that? If the economic impact is there, we would not have a business, we would not have employees, period. Both of them, they become unemployed.
Yeah.
Secondly, you mentioned safety hazard. This bill uses very deceptive language by clumping together workplace hazard and crime together. So now we are all fine protecting our employees and taking care of their safeties from workplace hazards. This bill lumps together workplace under the umbrella of workplace violence. They are putting the responsibility of crime and workplace hazard on the employees. We just ask them, ask the bill owners, you ask me, what suggestion do we have? That take small businesses out of the responsibility of law enforcement. On page 33, they have engineering controls. Section 6401.9, subsection 2, engineering control means institute an aspect of built spaces or a device that removes a hazard from the workplace or creates a barrier between the worker and the hazard. And subsection 5 is threat of violence, means any verbal or written statement, including but not limited to text, electronic messages, social media messages, or other online posts, blah, 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 blah. So the responsibility of the employer is to prevent their employees from the violence committed by the criminals. We who have just 1 or 2 employees, we don't have those engineering controls. And I know what engineering controls I can institute at my workplace to minimize the impact of violence on my employees. And that would be, I will have some devices like X-ray scanners, like we see at the airports. We have all TSA, metal detectors, pat-downs, and we need to carve out some space to institute those engineering controls. So it would require additional investments. And if somebody wants to buy a bottle of water or a can of chip or soda, You think they would like to go through the scanners, pat-downs, and searches before they go inside? It means it will not achieve the desired consequences of the bill. The employees will be protected. If there is nobody can come in, employees will be protected, but the business will not be viable, especially the corner stores and convenience stores. That's my 2 cents.
Krosh, you want to say something? Lars?
Of course,
Okay,
I
go ahead.
would.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chima, very presumptuous of you to assume that I would be in favor of this bill if I wasn't a small business owner. That shows a lack of foresight on your part. As a lawyer, I am a small business owner, and this law also affects my small business, which is open to the public. So I would say you're very wrong about that. But beyond that, you apparently were not listening to what I said moments before when I told you that through our efforts, we were able to get amendments to actually extract and withdraw the actual legislation that talked about confronting shoplifters, which appeared to be the bulk of your argument. Now, as having been someone who lived in Canada for 23 years and understanding the system that Canadians have to live with, I fully appreciate where you're coming from. It's nice to live in a socialist environment where everything's provided for you. But this is the United States of America. People have guns here. People have all kinds of ways of dealing with crime here that goes unpunished, unfortunately. And what you're not seeing, and what you're unfortunately not seeing, is exactly what Mr. Harjinder said, which is that this law is literally shifting the burden of protecting our employees from crime to the business owners instead of the police, who have been defunded, who have not been getting the kind of raises that they need. Why don't we have more police patrols? Why don't we have police arresting these people? Because we have laws that set them free the next day. And until you're actually in the trenches, you will not understand that. Now, let me just add one more point, if I can, before Paul wants to make his comments. You know, I don't know if you've done any statistical analysis of how many security guards or security guard companies there are in California, but I can assure you there aren't as many as there are businesses. And as someone who actually ended up trying to protect my employees by hiring a private security company in my most war zone environment, that security guard at the end of the day was costing me more at the end of the day than the thefts that were taking place, which is the most ironic thing of all. And here's the saddest part, and I have text messages of that security company. I said, why aren't you stopping these shoplifters? Because they were still shoplifting. And his response was, you want me to put my life in danger for your goods? That was a text message I got. What makes you think that we're going to get security guards who will even want to do this job? Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, I'm just coming back. Mr. Gupta, because time was short. I have short time. Okay, Gupta, Mr. Gupta, very short question.
I would just add one thing very quickly to that. There's an assumption that everyone seems to have that we are allowed to tell our employees to go after shoplifters. That's wrong. Our insurance companies will drop us from the insurance. We'd be uninsurable if we did anything like that. So the laws already exist in California that keep our employees from attacking a shoplifter. We're not supposed to go. We're train all of our employees. Please do not go after the shoplifter. Don't try to hit them. Don't keep any bats. Don't keep anything. You know, it's more of a liability issue than even bringing it up. So why do we need to codify anything like that into a law anyways?
Okay.
I totally agree.
Okay, actually, I understand that there was OSHA there. I'm used to be as an automotive engineer. I used to work in these things there. Even I have some business also in all the times in United States. Actually, mostly lawmakers or congressmen, they always in support of small business owners. Always. After 92, when things start going to China, other places, then now they may be eliminated small business people. It's going to happen like this. This is not fair. Okay, Mr. Gupta, please have a question.
We should tell to the legislatures or make an opinion how we can solve that problem. Because the solution have to be told by the small owners. Sometimes the legislatures are not so intelligent. So you tell the solutions. I think a time will come and they will listen. Because sometimes you bring a bill that fails to stop the violence, to stop the crime. If they bring the law, it does not stop, then what will happen? So tell them solutions, how other states did it, because we are the basic people. We have to tell them.
Okay, who will want to give an answer for this?
Me, Mr.
Okay,
Grewal.
Kush.
Mr. Grewal, thank you so much for your wise comments. Here's my proposal. If it's a cost balance thing, how about this? Every dollar that's stolen from our stores, we keep a receipt, we send to the state pays us for it, pays
That's
us
right.
back for it. How about that? That way they
That's
don't
good.
have to worry about the criminals. They can come in, take whatever they want from our stores. We just keep the receipts, send it to the state, and the state pays for it.
Sir, in a larger society where there is 6 million people, you cannot have a uniform system. There are different types, please. There is diverse populations. There are different nationalities. It's a very multiracial, multicultural societies. So you cannot solve one solution for a particular problem.
But it's such a simple solution. It solves the theft problem.
Harinder Chima, very short there.
Just 2-3 points. I don't know the name of the speaker who was speaking before, Mr. Gupta. He indirectly corroborated what I said, because maybe due to insurance fear, they were already taking interest of employees. They were not forcing for them, because if they get injured, they will have to, ultimately employer will have to pay. Mr. Krush, I will just point out 2 things. He said my business is also, being attorney is also like that. Yes, being our officer, being attorney officer or law officer, small business, those are not affected by the retail stores. Those are entirely different. And second, one thing he said, just because of their opposition or resentment or work done, they get the wording changed, which Mr. Barjinder already said. They change the wording, and the new wording is the meaning the same. So there's nothing changed. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it has been a very interesting discussion, and I knew many things which I didn't know before. But I would say that when you're talking about the end users being affected with this one, is it true that there is a group of end users who are happy about this bill?
That's
Yes.
a very good
Mr.
question.
Is there a group who are
I will answer,
celebrating
then
it, and
somebody else can answer.
whoever they may be, amongst these
Yes.
end users, is there a group who are celebrating this?
Yes. So we went to, can I answer? When we went to the assembly hall with almost 500 people inside, and we talked to the law director of Ms. Chris Holden, who was the chairman of the appropriation committee. Am I allowed to say that, or somebody else want to?
No, you can say it, Paji, but that was Willie Armstrong, who was the chief of the staff of Mr. Chris Holden. So, like, you can say that. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yes.
Then I will answer Mr. Pashara Singh's one more question, which he asked like a little while ago. You answer this one.
Okay. So there were almost 500 small business owners, and Mr. Willie Armstrong, who is the staff director or law director of the Senate Assembly Appropriation Committee's chairman, and we asked everybody, 500 people, is there any business owner who is happy with the current law, SB553? Not even a single person raised the hand. When we met on 21st of August, there was a rally. There were over 1,500 small business owners, and we asked, is there anybody who wants this law? Not even a single person raised the hand that we want this law. Then I asked, who does not want this law? Everybody starts shouting, we don't want this law. We don't need this law. So I have not found anybody, a business owner, who says this law is good.
It is understood. It is understood.
Harminder,
Okay.
can I add to the celebration a part of that question?
Go ahead, Mr. Khera, go ahead.
Anji, the question was asked that, who are these people who took it and celebrated? My understanding, talking to a lot of people over and over, I found out the people who did not read the bill, people who did not read even the summary of the bill, heard it from others, heard it from David Cortese himself. I talked to the individual who just heard it from Cortese, and he heard his recording, which was personally sent to him. Those people celebrated, thought that since Cortese is saying it's already done, and I changed it for you, those people celebrated. People who read the bill and found the severity of the bill, they're still fighting. The people who did not read, they celebrated.
Let me, I have one question here, everybody, if they can give an answer. Mostly congressmen try to help it. Did you ever try M.E. Bera? I know him very well here. Even Mr. Khanna or Jasmeet Bans or other people. Anybody help you in that area, or they don't care?
I will let Brajinder answer this later on, but I will answer that. Yes, we try to contact Jasmeet Bans, even though she personally send me messages through her hometown mediocres. Like they ask me, hey, why don't you call? And she wants to talk to. I said, okay, I want to talk to her, but not myself. I want to take my team there, like people of 5 or 10. No, they said you can talk, but I said no. I just want to be very transparent, and we just want to talk to her like in her office. At least like I need to take my team with me. But my team, like not my team, all of us who are working on this issue as a team and in a bigger picture. Mr. Pashara Singh Tilno asked a question. Are there some people who are happy with this bill? Yes, there are. Like, I mean, they have their own organization, considered retailers organization. I won't name anybody, but you guys all know. And people who have affiliation with these author of this bill, co-author of this bill, and some of them who are looking for political mileage out of this thing, they just went there and they said, on August 14th, Mr. Willie Armstrong mentioned a name that they were with them on the last meeting, that they are okay with this bill. They are small business owners, and they have a organization who representing more than 2,000 people, and they are fine with this. Will go ahead, bring it on. And we were not involved in that thing. Once that bill was passed in Senate, we came to know, we started this, and those organizations, they just came in to hijack the show, but we still ask them, stick with us, let's be a one team, let's get something done for our own people. But they did not listen, and they're still separated and going for their own political mileage. And you can check the facts, like, I mean, in newspapers and everything, they just portray, like they start giving paid ads on local radios and print media that, oh, this bill has been amended, and congratulations to you guys all, you need to do anything. We did a second protest rally in Sacramento, and a lot of those people, they were trying to sabotage this rally by telling people personal calls, mass media things, don't go to this rally. They tried to fail it, but we were still very lucky, very fortunate to have more than 2,000 people. Yes, there are people who are happy with this thing, and I can tell you their names like off the record. Thank you, Brajinder. You go ahead from now.
Just to keep your inspiration going, I would say from my own experience that the legislators here, they listen to you and they are not that adamant. If you work with them, if you give them the right information and work with them, they will come a long way. I have seen it. I was as a coordinator for education and Sikh awareness from the Sikh Council of Central California. I had been working along with other people for a very long time, especially with Dr. Bindra from Sacramento, when they introduced Punjabi in schools and the Punjabiyat or the Sikh history. The very first time the textbooks are published in 2018, which include us, the people from Punjab, when they come, why they come, and what happened since then. So what I will tell you is that keep up your fight and keep united, and keep the discussion going on. And I have seen that these legislators are not that adamant as you would find as the farmers' agitation found back in Punjab.
No, Mr. Tillon, we are there with open arm. We are asking, requesting, begging everybody to come on one stage. Let's fight this together. And if some people they are telling people we are misleading it, which is bad. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead,
Sir, I will like, I will like to add that whatever the objective of the bill is, I already repeat, in other states are same things happening, like robberies, and how they solved it. So please.
In Texas, everyone has a gun.
I have a simple answer for you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta.
We
I
had
think,
this conversation.
Mr. Sota, just you continue that one. I think you will get a lot of response. I can see an L area. Hundreds stores are crying now. I know it.
Thank you, sir.
A lot of
Thank you so much,
Gurdwaras
Mr.
also
Grewal.
helping it. A lot of Gurdwaras going to boycott also with some Congress. I heard a lot of things there. It's happening. So you continue that one. I think you will make a success there. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay.
Go ahead, Brajinder.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to answer two questions. That state is New York.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, so the first question from Mr. Gupta was like, talk to other states. Let's go to New York. It was a big mess. How did they clean up?
Yes.
They put all those criminals. They cleaned up streets. There was a if you do something bad, you got to pay for that in terms of, not in terms of money, but like you mentioned in India or something. See what you can do in India if somebody comes steal at your shop. We're not allowed to do that. It's other way around. If we stop them, we are in trouble. You see the disconnect?
Yeah.
We are in trouble if we try to stop them. It's not the other way. The second question,
I would like to tell one point. In India, there is no such things happening in small stores, small shops. I lived in Panchkula, Chandigarh, 30 years, never happened. Such things are not.
Because people know the consequences.
No. But it is a culture. I'm not saying guns are not. It's a culture. Culture of theft is not there.
Law and order.
No. There is nothing law and order.
Please give a hard time. You know very well. Please know that.
I want to go to the bigger picture.
Okay.
If I understood the question from Sardar Peshwara Singh Tillon correctly, I think he was asking a broader picture, because this law is not just for small business. As an independent, if I hear the answer of that question, it was all about small business or some other group or something. I think he was asking about overall, because this law is about every single employer, not just the small business. So I have an answer for that. There are people happy about it. There are companies, there are employees, those are very happy about it. My only concern is, even when I read the first time, I was like, I don't care. Yeah. But then when I started reading about it, every single line, I was like, it's not going to achieve anything that they're saying. It's going to, if anything, it's going to burden, it's going to kill all the small businesses. And in the very beginning, I said something before the program started. I said, it's not about small business. Wait 5 years. You're going to see all businesses crying, because I'm going to call my employer, hey, I'm stressed out because you gave me too much work for yesterday. Hey, that's written in the law here now. You can't give me stress.
Okay.